Well, here on the coast, we are still watching some of the seals. Unfortunately, I did find a couple small things, but I wasn't able to share it with you guys. So I thought, never mind, let me share as much as I can with you this afternoon. And that means having a nice look and spending some time with the seals. So I know that we can't get a very close look at the seals. They're kind of these little things all the way at the end of the lens. And a lot of them are blend into the rock very well, but I hope that you can get a good view. But if you did get to see it really closely, you'll find that the Cape fur seals have these tiny little pinnae, little exterior portions on their ear, and these really big ears, big eyes. And those large eyes help them to see very well in the water. And they obviously need to do that because they're predators, they're carnivores, they need to be able to catch their prey, and in order to do that they need to use their eyesight and something else. We'll get back to that in a moment, but their eyes are well adapted to seeing very well in the water and then seeing fairly well on air. Human eyes would be better in air, but in water not. The seal would win. They also have a tapetum lucidum. It's that reflective layer of cells in the eye that we've gotten so used to talking about because we know our lovely leopards and many of the animals in Djuma actually have that, which makes it really easy in order to find them. So they've got these reflective layer at the back, kind of like what we call cat's eyes. And I'm sure those of you who have a cat sometimes spooked by your cat in the middle of the night, maybe. But I had a question by Stella, or from Stella, and he wanted to know how do they get up onto those rocks. So, as I'm sure you remember and you would know, they have quite an awkward stance like that, and the back flippers are able, or the hip rather, is able to twist and move them in kind of this, almost like a lobster, like in a shoveling way, and then the front flippers are quite large to help them maneuver, and those are nice and leathery almost, so they're not covered in fur, so they can use that and a whole lot of friction to haul themselves up onto the rocks, just like that, yes. But apart from that, if they're really struggling, they'll often wait for a nice big wave to come through and assist them to get up into the rock. But remember, that's their lifestyle, so they're going to be well adapted and suited to be able to pull themselves onto the rock. So thanks for that question, Stella. I know lots of people, ridiculous that all of them end up on that rock and the rock seems so high. But also, like I said, we're experiencing a lower tide at the moment, and at high tide it's a little bit easier, and those larger waves make it a little easier too. Now, I said to you that they use their eyes quite a lot, in fact mostly their eyes, in order to hunt like most animals, but they also use their whiskers. So each one of those whiskers, and you would have seen them, that's what for me makes them quite dog-like, is how many whiskers they have, and kind of the whole muzzle area. They've got these cheeks, you know. So these whiskers, or vibrissae, are basically modified hairs, as you guys would know. Again, I'm going to reference our predators that we're used to seeing in Djuma and at the other reserves. And each one of those little modified hairs are nice and thick, and each one can move on its own. And that means that they can help the seal determine if there's something moving around the seal. Maybe there's a little fish that grazes the whiskers, or even just moves the water around the whiskers. So it's almost like a super tactile sense. We know our fingers and our sense of touch from our fingers and our digits, but it's really nothing compared to that of whiskers. So at the base of each one of those whiskers, imagine a little blood-filled sac. Tiny, tiny, tiny. You're not going to be able to see it with your eyes. And then every time that whisker moves, it's changing the pressure in that sac and the movement in that little blood-filled sac, and it gets amplified. And then all that information gets sent to their brain to help them do what they need to do in order to live, to find as many fish or squid or octopus, crustaceans that they can in order to survive. I was very lucky. I mean, I've been very lucky in Cape Town altogether. I told you I saw a caracal, porcupine, so many whales, sharks, but I also saw not too long ago a seal that was being bombed by all these seagulls, and then that's what drew my attention. And then I saw it flip this octopus up in the air, and then it landed in the water, and I don't know what happened. But anyway, it was super, super cool. Cape Town has been magnificent to me. Oh, we've got some gulls coming in as well. Oh, I love to see them like this. I'm sure many of you are familiar with seagulls of whatever sort that you get in your part of the world or in this part of the world, and you would know that anywhere where they could potentially find food, whether it's near your local dumpster or at the beach or around other animals hovering, you will definitely find it. And this one's most definitely hovering right over the seals, so there's a potential to get a free snack, some leftovers, a crusty crustacean. Oh, hi Mac, that's an excellent question. You'd like to know if seals are aggressive towards each other. Only during their territorial phase of their lives. So every year the males and the females, they mate and they breed, and that usually happens towards the end of the year, so we can expect that to happen around November-ish. And that's when they have territories. So right now there's no territories that are formed by either the males or the females. So everyone's pretty happy with each other's presence. But come breeding season, first the females are going to find themselves a territory so that they can give birth to the pups that they were pregnant with from last year. And so they'll have to form a territory. And the males will then form a territory so that they can breed with the females in their territory. And at that point, they can be quite aggressive to each other. But like with most, especially territorial interactions that happen in nature, the submissive individual would far rather stand down before any major damage has happened. And that's because at the end of the day, nobody wants to get hurt, because they don't hold grudges and things like that in the same way that we do. So they don't continue with that feeling. They'll just kind of get it over with at that time and try their hardest not to injure themselves. Injuring the other partner in the fight, that's fine, as long as it doesn't mean that they have to sustain injury themselves. So they'll try their hardest not to. Oh, so there's a nice view. Oh, it almost looks... I was about to say that looks like that seagull just landed on the seal, and I thought, no, that can't be. And then that seal just lifted up its head and went, "Ah, what are you doing?" And then promptly the seagull left after that. I mean, I would do the same if a seagull sat on me, I think. I'm not sure, I haven't experienced it myself, but definitely if I was a seal, I would not want a seagull to go ahead and sit on me. That was very, very cool, wasn't it?